Afternoon, folks. Philipdwyer here, citizen journalist. Just decided to come on here now to talk about this article here from extra.ie. It's the Taoiseach Micheál Martin, our Prime Minister, criticising the Dublin protesters and narrow nationalism. Guys, this is what is leading our country. This is what we're paying a massive salary for one of the most Irish, anti-Irish Taoiseachs, prime ministers that's ever lived. So I go through the article. Extra.ie, kind of known government propagandists, spitting out government narratives, being as nice as pie to them all, but as usual. So here we go. Taoiseach Micheál Martin has pushed back against the rhetoric expressed at a large anti-immigration protest in Dublin over the weekend. Now, we just take a note of this one. It's usually anti-immigrant, they say, but they're kind of softening up here, as we can see, because they're seeing, these media companies and publications are seeing how the wind is changing direction, and they kind of want to be able to turn around and say, "Oh, we were only reporting on what was going on." But anyway, it's far from it. Dublin over the weekend, rejecting what he described as negativity and a vision of Ireland rooted in narrow nationalism. Well, look at it this way, as far as I'm concerned, and most people who know about nationalism, as far as I know, nationalism is about the Irish nation. It's about Irish nationalism. It's not narrow or wide or anything else. It's Irish nationalism, and that's what Ireland should be about: the nation and its people. And so what he's actually saying there, it's narrow nationalism means that we need nationalism, but we need it with mass immigration of foreigners into the country. That's basically what he's saying there in his little code word. So thousands took part in the rally in the city centre on Saturday, which began at 2 p.m. at the Garden of Remembrance at Parnell Square. Well, it was actually tens of thousands that took part. Again, the media doing what they do best is obfuscating the truth, lying by omission, as they always seem to do. A significant Garda presence was deployed to manage the protest, and a counter demonstration, including public order units, mounted officers, and an aerial support unit. While no major incidents were reported, 3 people were arrested for public order offences, which I haven't heard of any arrests. But as I said, when tens of thousands of people, you might get 3 people who are maybe drunk under the influence or whatever, acting the Egypt. I don't know, but we certainly didn't see any, and we didn't have any reports of any incidences from our side, unless it was some of those morons that were across the road, those poor people, left-wing NGO, retarded types. God love them, and I really mean that. They need prayers, I think, in their lives, so there's the picture of our leader, pathetic looking Micheál Martin. I mean, what a gimp of a man, in my opinion. Chance of Ireland for the Irish. And see, this is what they do as well with these things. They get this thing out at the start, right? The negativity of the march. They try to denigrate the march and what was shouted at, because they know most people don't read any much further down than the first few lines in the headlines. So, chance of Ireland for the Irish. Correct. Yeah. Who else could it be for? Get them out. Yeah. Get out all the illegal immigrants and get our country back. Yeah. Get out the government. Get out the tyrants out of Dáil Éireann, and give the people's will back to them. Coolock says no. That's right. Coolock said no, and they got their way, and they have brilliantly put a stop to a plantation centre going into their area. Irish lives matter. Of course they do. Of course they matter. Why wouldn't they matter? And Ireland is full, and it is full because we've no accommodation. Young people can't get rent or buy. Our hospitals are full, and our services are full. Our doctors' surgeries are full, and they still insist on bringing in more and opening up more plantation centres. And another poster saw Conor McGregor, who was vocal in his support for the march in between US President Donald Trump and the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. Now, personally, I don't really know why someone would bring a poster like that and put Putin in it. I Donald Trump or whatever. This is about Ireland and Irish nationalism. Would have been fine for just Conor McGregor to be on the poster, in my opinion. So again, Vladimir Putin and President, and they picked that one poster out of tens of thousands of people, bringing flags and everything else, but they managed to find that one to just put a little smear down. They're saying that, you know, Vladimir Putin has been labelled as the next Hitler or whatever, and by the mainstream media, and you know, the next tyrant, let's say. But it put into people's heads that he's an evil dictator, kind of stuff. So yeah, you know, as much negativity as thing. And then ahead of the protest, the Dublin took to social media and branded the rally a big day here for our country. So now they're getting into trying to add some balance. Joe Brawley, yeah, they pick out a tweet from Joe Brawley. Joe Brawley is one of the Ireland's biggest traders, in my view, an absolute dirtbag. You know, I'd love to get him on to debate him or whatever about his stance on Ireland and how he thinks Ireland should be going forward. And yeah, he's just one of these woke idiots on the RTE gravy train, has been for a long time. And God help us, yeah, this is what there you have it, you know. Oh God, Putin, Trump, evil men in his opinion. Nothing could be further from the truth in my eyes. But anyway, he said over 100 years ago, our brave men and women made the ultimate sacrifice so that we could live free today. So let us remind ourselves why we are here, and also why we are not here. So of course, nothing in this that's not a fact. They died to save us, save our freedom from the British government, British rule, and they succeeded. But my God, what have we allowed happen here? What have we allowed happen here? So we are not here to build hatred amongst each other. We are not here to sow division. We are here to commemorate the valiant heroes who went before us. We honour their spirit. We honour their fight. Yeah, that's true. We did. To those leading the march and speaking for tens of thousands standing behind you, be calm, be clear, speak with dignity. Yeah, well, I was kind of trying to say that myself. Well said, Conor McGregor. The demonstration was also convened to mark this 1916 Easter Rising, 109 years after the armed rebellion against British rule in Ireland. Yeah. Speaking on Sunday at Fianna Fáil's annual 1916 commemoration Harbour Hill Cemetery, Mr. Martin addressed the protests and its appropriation of Easter Rising symbolism. Now, the facts of the matter is, as far as I'm concerned, is that if those men of 1916 were here today, they would be putting this man up in front of a firing squad, Micheál Martin and many others in that Dáil, for treason. That's my opinion, and the absolute gall of these people to try and commemorate those men who died, and at the same time, on the other hand, he's trying to flood this country with migration and replacement migration and changing the demographics of this country to make it unrecognisable as Irish. The demonstration was also convened to mark the 1960. Okay. The message of the 1916 proclamation is inclusive and internationalist. It was never grounded in a narrow nationalism, he said. Absolute poppycock. Like, it's very, very clear in the proclamation that Ireland is owned by the people of Ireland, and it's quite clear, and nobody else. Pierce has said it so many times. It's been quoted so many times. Ireland belongs to the Irish, and that's the unalterable truth of it. So that doesn't. How does it stand with being internationalist and inclusive? Absolute. These are communist, cultural Marxist tropes. Inclusive, you know, is as if we're all hateful. We don't want anybody else in the country or whatever. No, we need very, very controlled immigration into this country. We need mass remigration, and we need mass deportations to get it back to within some kind of reason. A very small percentage of any population of any country should be immigrants and non-nationals. That goes to every country. He emphasised that Ireland's EU membership since the 1970s has been transformational, warning against those promoting policies he believes would harm the country's future. Well, it certainly was transformational. Yeah, it's absolutely done nothing but destroy this country as a nation and its people. Yes, I agree with that. It is transformational. And he's warning against promoting policies he believes would harm the country's future. Well, I don't know how much more harm that you could do, Micheál Martin, to Ireland as in your tenure. And as I said, the people here now, that, as I said, people, this to me, it smacks of actual terror, not even fear. These people are terrified now of what's coming down the road for them with the Irish people waking up the way they are. I would be very cautious about those who advocate, demonize those who advocate, like some did yesterday, for a version of Ireland that would take us backwards, he added. Like he said a while back, that he had wanted nothing to do with a backward-looking idea of Irish sovereignty, which it was like mind-boggling that that his ancestors, our ancestors that fought in 1916, that he thinks that they would agree with that. Asked whether the size of the protests concerned him, the Taoiseach pointed to the importance of the democratic process. He doesn't give a jot about the democratic process. We have had a general election and local elections. The ballot box determines how society is governed. It must be based on policies and ideas. We believe ours are stronger than those put forward yesterday. Well, we believe in truth and justice and sovereignty for the Irish people. Mr. Micheál Martin does not believe in democracy, and I don't believe for 1 second, I don't care what anyone says, that there was an interference with those elections. And the interference is not just about actually with the ballot boxes. The interference is due to the mainstream media being owned by this government and bought and paid for, so in other words, it skews people's ability to hear what people stand for and give them a fair hearing and a fair chance to actually run in an election. Between posters being taken down, paid NGO scumbags taking down posters, radio stations and media outlets not allowing nationalists on to speak and give their views to the people and tell them the truth about what's going on. So no, we don't have a free and fair election in this country, and haven't had for a long time. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. This smacks of a dying animal in its death throes, desperate and absolutely terrified. The establishment are on the run, folks. Thanks for listening.